Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. Let's begin.
Hello, my name is Philomena Mullen, a.k.a. Dr. Phil. I'm an assistant professor of Black Studies in Trinity College Dublin, where I'm also the director of the M.Pjil programme in race, ethnicity and conflict. At its simplest, my work is about recovering the presence of Black people on the island of Ireland and writing them into the record in a way that doesn't make their story an add-on, but ensures that it's seen as part of Irish history. So my work is very closely tied to my own life story. I was raised in an industrial school, what we called industrial schools back in the 20th century. It was the Irish care regime for taking care of children. I lived there until I was 16, and this is my work is very much involved in trying to unpack the stories of children like me who also grew up in these regimes. I want to describe and understand how they were classified, but most importantly, how they were treated and how that treatment has impacted in ways that still matter today. As the director of the M.Pjil, I spend a lot of time in the archives recovering the presences of people who have been written out of the record. I also have a Black Studies PhD who will become the very first Black Studies doctoral student from Trinity College Dublin. So this is very exciting. What I find that's really important is uncovering small little stories that shifts the narrative of Irish history. So in the archive yesterday, I found a story from 1753 about a married servant woman in Kerry who gave birth to a Black child, which surprised everybody who was present. No mention was made of the fact that there was actually a Black servant who also lived in the same house as the married woman. However, her claim to why the child was Black was because she had a penchant for charcoal during her pregnancy. This was accepted by all at the time. These kind of little stories shifts the narrative, helps us to situate Blackness on the island. We see lots of these small little pieces and snippets in newspapers throughout the 17, 18, 1900s in Ireland. In the 1990s, Christine Buckley made a documentary with Louis Lenton called Dear Daughter, and it documented the experiences of children living in the Irish care system, the industrial schools, the mother and baby homes, the Magdalen laundries. And it shifted a lot of what we believed to be a care regime about love for children into a regime of cruelty and abuse. And then the second thing that has influenced me is having spent 12 years working in the Irish traveller movement and seeing up close the discrimination that this marginalised and stigmatised group experiences on Ireland. And both of those shaped my own research and had an impact on why I decided to return to university. Sometimes people think I'm a very serious person, but one of my favourite things to do is to go to comedy. I love comedy, even the silly things. My children find it very strange when I break down into a fit of giggles. Life is very serious, and sometimes we need to keep it light. The work can be slow, can be tedious. So we have to break it up with periods of lightness. In my role as assistant professor of Black Studies, I was only supposed to be in the job for 3 terms. The role was set up after the murder of George Floyd in 2020. But now we're going into our 6th year. So this is a small win, or maybe a big win, for Irish Black Studies. the possibility of developing this into something more substantial, actually having a Black Studies PhD coming behind with doctoral work, building up a foundation of literature and knowledge on Irish Black Studies. These are small wins. These are little moments of joy when we find things in the archive. And beyond that, there's also family and friends. Work is important, but then there are times to leave it behind and to get out into the world and recognise that while the archive is interesting, life in the present is also important as well. My friends like to challenge me, Aya in particular, doesn't let me get away with anything. And these are things that I enjoy. They keep me in the present. They focus me. And yes, I enjoy the wins. I enjoy the challenges. And I enjoy the fact that Black Studies will grow in Ireland, not just within Trinity, but hopefully with now a large Black population in Ireland, that we will see others coming behind us to build on the work that we're doing now.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the Invisible Visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next story.